Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A. I asked a bunch of people on my Instagram if they had any questions and I figured I would answer them on a YouTube video. Okay, so if you can see, we had a bunch of questions and I'm going to go through and pick some that I think are interesting. Okay, so the first question I have, and a really common question I get, what are your best recovery tips? I think there is a lot of mixed opinions on different types of recovery things for athletes. So overall, I would say the most important thing for recovery is going to be sleep, what you're eating, and living a healthy lifestyle overall. So you can get massages, which is phenomenal. You can do ice baths and stuff like that, which I'm not 100% sure I believe in a lot of the science behind that, but it does feel good and it can remove acute inflammation. But I think no matter what you're doing, all of that extra stuff, if you're not sleeping well, eating well, and hydrating well, you're not gonna recover. If you can just up your sleep by an hour, I think that's gonna give you better recovery than trying to do all this other stuff. So someone asked me what my macros on an average training day are. When I'm not cutting weight for a competition, I don't really track my food. I try to eat mostly animal-based, so I prioritize whole foods, a lot of meat, a lot of red meat, steak, ground beef, fish too, but mostly just like red meats, to be honest. A lot of eggs, yogurt, fruits, honey, sourdough bread. Of course, I have like other snacks here and there. I don't like to talk about like calories and macros because it's so dependent upon the person and there's so many factors that it's not relevant for anyone else to know what I'm eating. So I don't even really want to get into it, especially because I have struggled with food my entire life and I would always compare myself to other people, so it's not gonna be relevant to you. You're gonna eat what you need to eat to figure out what that is for your body. But I will say, I don't restrict any single macro. Try to just be well balanced and prioritize foods that make me feel good. Ooh, best way to style long hair for jiu-jitsu to minimize damage to it. Your hair gets so damaged in jiu-jitsu. The hairstyle that I think is the best, and this is mostly going to be for girls, I think this is actually a guy asking. Most of the ultra damaged parts are like up front here and places that are coming out of the ponytail. So the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is do braids that start at the front of your head right here and then go all the way back. If you can French braid or Dutch braid that, that's the best way. But other than that, I just pull my hair back in a ponytail and then braid it. I try not to use little tiny elastics. I try to use normal hair ties and not the ones that are like ultra grippy, because those sometimes actually rip my hair out more. Someone said, any advice for a blue belt on the cusp of going purple? I think the blue to purple transition is pretty difficult sometimes. It depends, because a lot of blue belts could be a year or two blue belts, or you can see a lot of people who have had their blue belt for like 8 years. I would say purple belt was the time when I started to kind of find my own game. So start to come up with game plans and start to come up with ways to connect moves that I like. I think the transition from blue to purple is easier than the transition from purple to brown, especially if you do IBJJF tournaments, because that's when leg locks come into play. So personally, I did leg locks when I was like a white belt. So it wasn't really that big of a deal for me because I was just excited to be able to use leg locks finally. I would say even if you're a lower belt, I think everyone should learn leg locks. I think there's no reason to ever wait until you're a brown or black belt to learn leg locks. I think that's just putting you behind. Learn everything and learn how to use everything properly, and you'll be in a better place when you get to that next belt. Someone asked what the best cardio workouts are for jiu-jitsu. In my opinion, it is somewhat difficult to emulate the cardiovascular and strength aspects of jiu-jitsu. The cardio in jiu-jitsu is very unique, very varied, and you're gonna have periods of very short sprinting, effortful, using muscle, and then maybe some periods where you're resting. So any types of cardio that are irregular, I think are something that can help you a lot. Any cardio is good cardio, because at the end of the day, the only thing that's gonna really make your conditioning for jiu-jitsu better is doing more jiu-jitsu. So if you really want to increase your cardio during training. Sometimes you want to do very short, intense rounds. Sometimes you want to do very long rounds. One of those people who's like, okay, I'm gonna roll a couple rounds, rest one, roll a couple. Sometimes roll all the rounds, get exhausted, have your lungs burning, make sure that you're actually pushing yourself. Not that you always need to train like that, but that's how you're gonna increase aerobic capacity, is by pushing yourself in those ways. I like to bike a lot as like my steady state cardio. I just started running a little bit, and I also like to do sprints, and I use the Airdyne bike. I have one in my garage, so that's also something that I use. Someone asked me if I had a 5 or a 10 year plan for myself. So I am still figuring out what I want to do, but what I'm really more focused on is just learning to enjoy where I'm at right now and enjoy the present moment. But I will say, always want to be doing jiu-jitsu. Definitely want to win all the things that I want to win. So ADCC, IBJJF, Nogi Black Belt Worlds, bunch of other stuff. I want to be on the big stages. And I think I would eventually really like to have my own school. When I imagine it, I think something I would love is to be able to head a women's program and help other women. And I would love to lead a women's competition team. So that's something that I really hope to do in the future. I did graduate with my bachelor's in clinical psychology. I was planning on going into my master's and becoming a therapist, and I realized that I wasn't sure if that really was the right path for me or if I was just kind of pushing myself into something more traditionally stable. I just know that there's so many ways to make things work nowadays that I don't want to stick myself down a path just because I feel like I need a path and just because I feel like I'm behind. So I'm really just trying to find a way to create the life that I want, where every day I'm doing something that I'm really happy doing. Someone is asking actually a couple questions about foods for fat loss and muscle replacement and why. At the end of the day, let me say this. Technically, it doesn't really matter what foods you're eating if you're eating the correct calories. But in my opinion, the foods you're eating and the quality of food you're eating is actually very, very important for a bunch of other reasons. You're gonna wanna be having all the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals from real good whole foods. It's gonna make a difference in how satiated you are. So when you're prioritizing whole proteins and healthy proteins, you're more satiated. So it's easier to lose weight because you're not starving. It's also going to help your sleep quality, your mood, pretty much everything. I don't believe that you should cut out any specific food group. I don't agree with any extremes, but I do think that most of your foods should come from whole foods. And in my opinion, for my body, I have found that animal-based is the way that makes my body feel the best. I eat a lot of steak, red meat, fish. Try to get most of your carbohydrates from fruits, honey. Potatoes are great. I eat a lot of rice too. And then also, I'm a firm believer, especially if you are a woman, eat a lot of fats, especially female athletes. A lot of times when we're cutting weight and we're doing all these crazy things, you could lose your period, and one of the most important nutrients for hormonal health is fats. I eat a lot of butter, I have olive oil, avocados, nuts, and things like that. Someone said, do guys get intimidated by the cauliflower? Okay, you can tell me if my cauliflower ear is that bad. I'll get very close for you. I have it on this ear, but this one's not too bad. That's my good one. But no, honestly, I mean, obviously some guys are kind of weird about it. Like, they think it's hot and like, oh wow, so you can beat me up? And I'm like, I'm leaving. In general, people think it's pretty cool and they just like want to ask about it. Breakfast ideas, especially before training. I train a lot at 7 a.m. To be honest, I don't usually eat before that. I will have coffee on an empty stomach, which I don't recommend because it's bad for your cortisol level. Sometimes I'll also have a banana with the coffee just so I have something in my stomach. Generally, if I have a couple hours to digest, go to breakfast, a slice of toast, 2 eggs, some yogurt, and fruit and honey. That's what I have pretty much every single morning. If you're training pretty soon, I would just go for banana and honey, and then after you train, eat some protein or have a protein shake. What's your recovery days or routine like? Yeah, make sure that you schedule yourself a full day of rest. Maybe you can do a cardio session on that day, but like if you're a full-time athlete or just someone who works out a lot, make sure that you actually have a full day of rest and you're not just burning yourself out. If you can take a nice hot bath, use a massage gun, if you can stretch, just anything that makes you feel good. Some hot yoga always is good too. Best workouts for jiu-jitsu? Jiu-jitsu. Marcelo Garcia was right. However, I do lift. I do think lifting is important actually, and I think you should lift because being stronger always helps. Or something that's like calisthenics or yoga or things that are going to increase your flexibility or increase your calisthenic strength or your cardio. Doing things to supplement can definitely help. And I think one thing that's really good if you can do it is rock climbing because it gives you insane grips. Best supplements for jiu-jitsu. Honestly, there's only a couple supplements that I recommend. Most supplements are just kind of a waste of money unless you have any particular deficiencies. The one supplement that I think will help you for recovery is creatine. It is one of the longest studied supplements. It has the most research behind it. Creatine will help you recover better. I also take capsules that are like beef liver and different organs. Organ meats are very, very high in a lot of vitamins and minerals, and I do not like to eat liver, so I take those as a supplement. I take vitamin D, especially if you're inside all day. I would say vitamin D. magnesium threonate, which is a magnesium that's actually gonna help you with your sleep. There's a lot of different types of magnesium, and magnesium citrate is just gonna make you your pants. Like, sorry, but it's a different one. Oh, just for brain health and overall health, if you can take a high EPA fish oil, so when you get fish oil, there's DHA and EPA. EPA is something that's really, really beneficial for your brain long-term. Also, EPA has been shown to possibly help with symptoms of depression and things like this. There's one from Nordic Naturals called EPA Extra. I highly recommend that as well. How long did it take you to get your black belt? It took me about 6.5 years, which is very fast, and I will attribute most of that to going to Autos. It's just much easier to get better at Autos because it's amazing, and I just put in a lot of work and studied a lot and was around really great people who helped me. So go to post-competition meal. I don't know why, but I always have chicken and waffles. Like, I don't care where I am, I'm gonna find a place that has chicken and waffles. The only time I don't have chicken and waffles is if I lost. I feel like it's a bad omen. So usually if I lose, I go get a burger and a milkshake or something like that. Most of the times I'm not hungry after I compete, but I just eat because like I wanna eat. It's either a celebration or something to make me feel better. So my favorite submission, I like leg locks, I like anaconda chokes, star chokes, guillotines. I think something's just more satisfying about finishing with the choke too, because it's like, yeah, gotcha. What's my cat's name? Okay, we're gonna end on this one. I actually have 3 cats, but yeah, this is Kevin. Oh, hello. He's a beautiful little British short hair. He really is just a little baby. He's kind of the best. Say bye, Kevin. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time.